It was a transit point. It was a place on a network.
According to the National Register nomination, there are prehistoric sites there dating back 5,000 years, and they're probably drawn there near the water.
The Cheyenne were willing to go onto the reservation, particularly Black Kettle's band, the peace leader, so to speak.
The Cheyenne were camping where they were told to, where they were supposed to under treaty, and the Colorado Volunteers still went in and massacred the Indians.
The survivors of Sand Creek got out to the various bands, usually where their relatives were, and spread the word of what happened. And this angered so many of the already somewhat disaffected crowd.
When Mud Springs happened, of course, there was great violence going on in the eastern United States. It was called the Civil War.
We have lots of places that are set aside that honor those big battles, but very, very few like this one. And I think that's important because this is what it really was like here, not the Little Bighorn or Rosebud Battlefield or whatever. This is the real Indian War site right here.
It was also very different from what Americans were thinking about as warfare and violence and armed conflict.
At Mud Springs, the 8 soldiers and telegraph operator and the 4 cowboys who were there were surrounded and essentially assaulted by perhaps a couple hundred warriors at some point as the Cheyenne were moving through the area. Lieutenant Colonel Collins got a group of about 36 men out of Fort Mitchell, about 55 miles to the west, to march to their aid as mounted cavalry. Lieutenant Colonel Collins gathered up about 120 or so additional men at Fort Laramie and made a forced march over a couple of days to get to Mud Springs to aid in relieving it. When they got there, the Indians were still surrounding the station and the buildings, and at one point he realized that they had to do something, so he organized a charge up a small rise, a hill. Those people drove the Indians off. They dug a rifle pit and were able to command the area and keep the Indians away from the main buildings, which Collins described as indefensible because of their location. With Collins in charge there, the remainder of the troops came up from Fort Mitchell, so there were a couple hundred or so men there, and the Indians began drifting off. Here we are at Mud Springs at the site of the stage station in the 1865 battle. And we're walking the ground in a sort of an initial reconnaissance inventory to see if we can find anything. It's cold, it's miserable, and the ground is frozen. It makes it very difficult to dig these objects up. Try it again now. There's a coil, more or less. So, yeah, we're going to get it with this and see if it's invisible. There you go. It's hard. Well, there's something. Go around it and so. But we did find a Spencer, and it was great, and it's of the right period and the right type to have been at that battle. The historical record and of the events suggests certain things happened. So far what we found seems to be consistent with that. But we need to get out there and look and see exactly where that charge up that hill took place. And then we'll work down toward the creek.
Detectors, grab the detectors. Somebody grab
Hurry
them.
on up. Luis, you want to head on? Oh, Kelly's over there.
got plenty in there. Historic material and Stone Age material. We can.
Thought you weren't looking for that. Of course, because it's not prehistoric.
It's a stone projectile point. We weren't expecting there to be any pre-contact materials here, but that sure looks like the center of a fairly large stone projectile point.
You know what? Look,
It's been
redone.
redone.
It's been redone. It's been manipulated. See how it's been cut off? That's
yeah.
something that
It's
the
been shot
Indians-
at and cut off. I would bet, yeah.
That's
it's
something that the
Indians.
Indians would do.
Yes, absolutely. That is cool. See how it's not.
Yes.
The
Why
original-
would the Indians do that?
Because
more,
they-
more
to-
like an arrow.
No, it's been shot and they reused it.
And up here near the crest, we're finding both cartridges, and that one sure looked like an incoming slug.